The golden sky glows dully overhead. In the distance, the sound of conversation rings like a choir. The air curls and flows in mathematically perfect patterns. And Hazel takes a deep breath in. She soaks in the presence of the light, feeling its cold, reassuring clarity. The dark can't reach her here. Here, she can protect people from the creeping chaos that leers in her nightmares. Here, she can make amends for her mistakes. Here, she can be strong. Faith floats up to the rooftop, and a gentle smile crosses her face as she spots Hazel. There you are. She sits down next to Hazel as the avatar props herself up on her elbows. The alabaster visage follows Hazel's gaze, looking up at the clouded sky. What's wrong? That message from the other you. Oh. Faith's expression falls. Was that really her? You? Faith? Faith shakes her head firmly. No, I'm me. I always have been. It's hard to say who that might have been that they had with them. She grimaces and then shakes the thought away. If it really was some part of me, then at best it was someone I used to be, like refining the impurities out of gold. And now, here I am. She spreads her arms in demonstration and smiles. I'm more perfect now than I could ever have been. So are all these people. Everyone you've helped, Hazel. There's a moment of silence. Faith lays a cold hand on Hazel's shoulder. Don't doubt yourself, Hazel. Trust your own conviction. Hazel sits up fully and hugs her knees. They're gonna be there, you know. If I go talk to her. Yeah, I know. Faith shifts to pull Hazel into a side-on hug. You don't have to. If they're not going to listen, you don't owe it to them. They're still my friends, though. At least, I hope so. I don't want to argue with them again. They don't have all the information. They haven't seen it from our point of view. There's a moment of silence, and Faith speaks up again. I could go instead, if you want. Hazel looks up sharply. What? Faith grimaces. It's pretty scary, yeah. Eliza seems like a completely different person now. But if I can just get them to understand, maybe we can get this all to work out. Hazel smiles. Yeah, I'm not especially good at that, am I? Are you going to be safe? You do look a bit different now. Faith looks down at herself. Yeah, I guess that's true. Maybe I could borrow one of your hoodies? And she looks out over the Alabaster neighborhood. There's plenty of people who aren't in a state to use their cars yet. I can ask them if I can use one of theirs. Do you have a license? Yeah, just because I don't have a car of my own doesn't mean I didn't learn how to drive. Come on. She elbows Hazel playfully. Okay. But if there's any trouble, like if Eliza tries to go after you again, you put the pedal to the metal and get the hell out of there, okay? I'm not losing you. I will. Promise. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of With Conviction, a story of hope, horror, and history. My name is Rain. My pronouns are she, her, and I am your GM for this adventure. Now that the stage has been set, let's hear from our hopeful heroes for this campaign. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi there, I'm Alice. I play Desdemona Hartwood. We both use she and they pronouns. Desdemona is our Rose Heart Guardian magical girl. She's sort of a gothy, punky magical girl with a heart of pink, cool wings, and confusion over the tone shift as we were brought into this Discord call.
Hi, I'm Skylin. My pronouns are they and them, and I play Chris Whitlock, whose pronouns are she or any. Chris is our very sportsy team captain, magical Nada girl, who has spent the last evening having a long chat, and is our firebrand artillery.
And I am Rob. My pronouns are he, him, and I play Eliza Hardwick, whose pronouns are she, her. Eliza is our fiery, stalwart soul warrior magical girl, and she is just really intent on making sure that Faith is safe. That's all she's got going on right now.
Indeed, because the last time that we had left you, you had made plans to deal with the light. Faith had offered to be a distraction and draw Hazel away while you all tried to break into the light gray and destroy Blind Faith. As dawn rises the next morning, the ball is in your court. What do you do?
I think we get Eliza, and she's in the bathroom attached to the little pool house at the Hartwood residence. And Faith is probably still asleep on the couch, but Eliza is just standing in the bathroom looking at where the roots in her hair have grown out to her natural dark brown rather than the deep dyed red. And she looks at a box of hair dye. And she just kind of shrugs and sets it down. She does not have time for that. So she steps out, and there's a brief consideration of making Faith breakfast. But given how that went last time she tried, she decides against it after a little bit.
You did end up with an evil sword.
Good point.
True. Speaking of which, who has the evil sword? Did Des hold on to it?
She planned on holding on to it. I don't know if
I think she did, yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Not having the evil sword and not having the time or energy to deal with her hair, Eliza plops herself back down into bed. She's just going to wait for Faith to wake up. And she checks the Pancake Squad group chat to see if there are messages from the other two. But she's probably the first one awake.
Yeah. Across town, we see Chris get up, light streaming into the window and forcing Ver awake. Chris looks at her phone. There's a couple new texts. One from Jessie, that's a reminder that she can do it, that she can trust herself, and that it's okay to be grieving and scared. One from Morgan, letting her know that the team is ready to hang out quietly at the library. And one from a classmate, asking if they could study together. That one Chris answers before getting dressed. She just says, next week. She shoots off a text to the Pancake Squad that just says, ready, ? And then Chris heads to the bathroom. She looks into those eyes in the mirror that see more clearly than they should. That reflection shows a tired face and a dryness that results from talking and, frankly, crying late into the night. Sleep and crusts of tears have dried and settled on his cheeks. And Chris washes those away with soap and water and a murmur of something we don't quite hear. The makeup kit comes out and Chris paints dashes under her eyes with her forefingers like eye black, and then a little heart on her forehead with the foundation. She adds a dab at the corner of their eye that looks like a tear. I let go of grief, and I know it is love. That had been Jessie's suggestion, to do the glamour that she'd let languish and to add this small change to it. She blends in the tear. I am the captain. I trust my body and my team. He blends in the dashes. Everyone deserves as much love as I can give. V blends in the heart, and then adds highlights and shadows that accent the angles of her face that also get blended in before adding a simple eyeliner and a lip. And then there's a few spritzes of makeup setting spray, and there you go. Next, Chris unscrews a roll-on perfume bottle, which is a larger version of the sample that's in her purse. A couple of dabs at the neckline, and that sharp scent of forested fruit wafts its way to her nose. I can do this. We can do this. Chris's jaw tightens, but she takes a breath and lets it go. One more step before heading out the door. Steady hands will pick up the pictures from Hazel's door, one of them being the two of them, one of Hazel and Des. She sets them near a cup of Gatorade and a protein bar that are on a plastic plate at the corner of her desk. Chris kind of looks at the plate and talks to it. She's worth it. I'm looking at this like runners do. 3 goals. Goal A, best one, is to get her back and have her be part of the team. Goal B is to stop her and save the rest of the team in town, no matter what that means. And goal C is to find some other way of keeping her from causing too much harm. The first step is dealing with Faith. Chris swallows hard and puts on a determined face. No, the team's got this. We hear the latching of a door behind Chris and her quick footsteps down the stairs. And like many months ago, we see her grab a couple of slices of toast and jog out the door. The phone's in her hands. And she calls Des.
Chris is literally leaving the house like Sailor Moon.
Yeah, just like the first time.
Oh my god.
Hey, Rain. I think that Skyland deserves like 6 points of courage for that.
It
That
is in
was
the
really good.
best traditions of magical girl stuff, for sure.
Well,
That
honestly,
was very good. Yeah. Go ahead and take courage for that.
Okay. I'm glad you enjoy it.
Des, how do you wake up on this day?
I wondered if it was coming to me.
Your phone's ringing.
Yeah, she is waking up late, unlike the other two. Rolls over, grabs her phone. Meh.
Des!
Meh?
You. Oh, shit. You're not awake, are you? I'm sorry.
Who is this?
Chris?
Okay. Who am I?
Des?
Okay. What's going on?
Okay, call me when you're awake.
I don't know. So, Des hangs up and rolls out of bed, pulls on whatever clothes are closest, and puts on her usual makeup. And she is aware of what today is. So once she's got her makeup on and is a little more awake, kind of looks at herself in the mirror and goes, "We got this." And then calls Chris back.
Hey, sugar, you awake?
More awake than I was.
Okay. I'm on my way to you. I'm scared, Des.
I'd say that's pretty normal, Chris.
This is bigger than game jitters, but can you put Eliza on too?
Yeah, definitely.
Des, where is the evil sword right about now?
Oh, the evil sword. That's a good point. I am bringing the evil sword with me. Because somewhere in the back of Alice and Dez's minds, is the idea of a cool sword in one hand, the shield in the other, and a sick pair of wings backing the whole thing. So the sword is coming with for sure. Um, yeah, I like the idea of there being an evil sword. We don't have a scabbard, right?
This is the Rider's sword. We should have a scabbard unless it stayed with Tilly.
Is the scabbard evil?
I'm gonna say yeah.
Okay,
Oh my
great.
God, no! I hate it. I
And
hate all of it.
and I put the evil sword in the evil scabbard, and strap that on. It is definitely incongruous with the sort of like usual gothy vibe that Des gives off, but it is not. I guess it wouldn't clash that much with like little spikes and that kind of thing. Oh, also, just occurred to me. Des, whether she meant to or not, is wearing her Degenerate Matter t-shirt.
Ooh.
So, Des, as you walk into the pool house with the phone on speaker, that is about when Faith wakes up. She just kind of rolls over on the couch and catches herself from falling off of it with one hand.
Eliza has gotten herself put together at this point. She's wearing her usual black ripped up jeans and a black t shirt with some obscure band you've probably never heard of on it this time. Her vest is, as usual, festooned with enamel pins, but among the others is a new one that's not quite a pin, it's not enamel. This one's a little printed button, and it's just got a picture of herself and Dev and Chris on it. And
Excellent.
it's joined the
Aww.
ensemble. And she's looking into the mirror again and says, "We can do this," right as the door opens and she turns around to face Des.
Oh, hey, Des.
Morning.
What time is it?
Oh
Morning,
gosh,
Eliza.
we're just waking up, so I'm guessing I haven't checked. I'm guessing it's like noon.
It's like 9, Des.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been awake for 3 hours.
Okay, well, don't love that part, Eliza. You really should be well rested. Um,
Breakfast
but
restaurant.
yeah, doesn't change the amount of sleep you need. And this is getting off track. Uh, good morning.
Morning.
Also, hi, Chris.
Hi, Faith. The volleyball team's ready to be at the library for a study session. You won't recognize them and they won't know you, but they know Hazel and they'll be quiet and just there as eyes. I am on my way. Des,
Yeah.
I need you to tell me this is gonna be okay.
Eliza nods emphatically.
Guys, we have seen so much at this point in such a short time. The two of you, uh, and Faith, obviously, are some of my best.
Can't forget Faith.
Can't forget Faith. Never again. And I love you both so much, and the love is going to carry today. We're gonna be okay.
I love you too. I
I love you all. Right? She's blushing.
Faith sits up on the couch and looks over at Eliza across the back of it. Uh, Eliza, you're blushing again.
Yeah. Yeah. She just leans over and gives Faith a hug.
I
talked to Jesse for a long time last night. Des, I am so sorry I said no so much. I've been scared and grieving, apparently. And hold on, I gotta make this turn. I've been scared for a long time with all this crap of losing people and the shit we stand against. It's huge. But I got my team. So I'm pulling up and we're gonna be okay.
We are.
Chris rolls down her window and leans out the door and says, "Hey, whose car are we taking?"
So, what is the plan here? Are you all intending to drop Faith off at the library and go? Is there anything else you want to do before you do that? Or what's happening?
There is one thing that needs to happen before we do that.
Oh, that's true.
I think this is probably before we drop Faith off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eliza's just kind of pensively looking out the window as we drive because she's not currently driving, and she doesn't like that, so she has to pretend she's in an early 2000s music video to cope.
I understand.
Oh my god.
Okay, so we'll say Des is driving, and maybe when everyone was doing little bits of research in the library, Des did a little research as well, and found where a particular person might be buried. So we pull up to is it a graveyard or is it
Yes.
okay. So we pull up to the graveyard.
What are we doing here?
Well, Mr. Mr. Widowpeak fucker said that when a grave closes, folks go back to their, well, the time that the grave was made. So Tilly should have led a normal life, Eliza.
There are rapid temperature fluctuations coming off of Eliza right now.
Chris grins at Des.
We thought you should maybe say hello, maybe say goodbye.
Eliza nods and opens the door.
Mount Hebron Cemetery is, well, there's not much green this time of year, but it is still sunny and wide open. There's a field of graves, some younger, some older. It takes a while to find the right grave. And as a matter of fact, you don't see hers at first, but what you do see is a pillar simply marked Russell. And nearby, a smaller stone that just says Tilly M. Russell, died 1897.
Eliza sinks to her knees at that. They just kind of, she falls into these the discarded leaves and the scrapple of dead grass. Hands set on the dirt. "1897. 35 years after. I thought you'd been cheated out of your life, but you had a long time. I hope it was a good time. I hope you found some answers, but I'm going to keep looking. I'm gonna find the answer you asked me." Eliza takes a deep breath, and she does something that she has avoided doing for over a year now. She starts to sing. And if you asked her, she wouldn't like her singing voice, because voice is a matter of both anatomy and habit. And while anatomy changed, habit didn't. So she still has kind of a cocky singing voice. But she's singing, and she's letting out the words of a song that both she knows and Tilly would have known. And I'm not going to sing it because Rob is an even worse singer than Eliza, and that's not happening. But the song goes, "Let us pause in life's pleasures and count its many tears. While we all sup sorrow with the poor, there's a song that will linger forever in our ears. Oh, hard times, come again no more." And this song, which was popular back when Tilly was alive, it's such a capture of looking around and finding what happiness you can among the sorrow. And that's what Eliza needs right now. And as she's singing that, as she's just sitting there, there's a flash. A burst of fire and snow. And Eliza stands up. We see her panning up from the ground. Her feet are still clad in those dark Doc Martens, but her legs are now bound up in deep red tights. We pan to her skirt, and it's no longer gray, but a bright white fringed in that same deep red. Her outfit is no longer two separate pieces, but a single-piece dress that is all done in that white with the red fringe. It's still short-sleeved, and the cut evokes her old top and skirt, but it's somehow more put together. It doesn't feel quite so teenager on the edge. It's something more. And she has picked up Tilly's mantle. Not literally, but she has picked up Tilly's color scheme. The white with red that was the defining element of the outfit of the Angel of the Battlefield and the Angel of Shiloh is now Eliza's colors. And she turns to look at the rest of the group, and her hair, where the brown had grown in at her roots, is now a stark bright white. And she looks at the other two with a smile on her face, manifests her sword, one in each hand, one glittering with frost and the other with fire. Her backpack unfolds, yet flaring for a moment, and she just says, "Okay, now I'm ready."
Chris gives Eliza a big hug.
Okay.
Des comes in for the big hug also.
Faith sort of tacks out on the outside.
Eliza
Chris
grabs
pulls her in.
pulls her
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna say we all grab her, pull her properly into the hug. Come on.
I feel like Faith has somehow gotten squished into the middle of this.
100%. For the audience, there's nothing mechanical about Eliza's new outfit, except that she has picked up all of the upgrades that she's going to get. Now that she's got the twin swords, she's unlocked everything.
Eliza,
Hmm?
why don't you mark down courage?
Oh, thank you.
All right. Is there anything else the group wants to do before you leave to drop off Faith?
All right, let's do this.
So, you pull up in front of the library. Shockingly, the traffic is not terribly busy. You can find a spot on the side of the road to park. And Faith opens the door to get out. Then she pauses for a second, looks at the library, and looks at you.
Eliza reaches out a hand and takes Faith's.
She gives it an appreciative squeeze. Do you? Maybe I should have asked this sooner, but do you have, like, a knife or something? You know, just in case.
Eliza has detransformed since her whole thing a moment ago. I think she reaches into her pocket, and she's thinking for a moment. It's just, I don't think Hazel is going to hurt you. I hope. Yeah, I don't want to risk that on hope. Here. And she hands over a little, like, standard unfolding pocket knife type thing.
She takes it and tucks it into a pocket. Thanks.
Plus the team's here. Chris looks around at the parking lot and points out the car that would have brought most of the team, or maybe the two cars if there's two of them.
Thanks. I'm more worried about you than about me, really. You're the ones who are going to
Do our job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got this. And she gets out, closes the door behind her, and heads into the library.
Eliza watches her go and then turns, looking forward again.
So, for the three of you, how is it that you go about the start of this process?
Oh, I think we have to go back to the battlefield park, don't we? That's the
How we
place
got in the first time.
Yeah.
You go to the battlefield park. Do you try to off-road, or do you just park in the parking lot that's there and start walking on the trails?
I can't imagine Chris would like the group off-road.
Yeah, I was about to say the park rangers might complain at us, and then I realized Chris is here.
You leave your car and you head down the path. You pass some tall stone monuments remarking on this unit or that unit that fought here, a list of the names of those who died. You see smaller explanations of the movements of soldiers, and the hillside begins to descend into trees. And fairly soon, you see a familiar gully and a familiar river with a wooden bridge crossing it.
Oh. We've got a lock made of light magic. And we've got a pick bound and filled with dark magic.
Chris finds a rock to sit on. That thing still scares me. Go ahead.
It's just an evil sword, Chris. What could go wrong?
How are you not scared of that?
I don't know. I think the humor of a sword being evil is carrying most of my confidence in it.
Chris sighs and gestures. Like, all right.
Des draws the sword, and goes, Eliza, should you be using this? As much as I love it, you're the one who made it.
All right, let's try this out. And Eliza reaches out her hand to take the sword.
Des hands it over.
You feel that same thrum of power, that same instinctive thought of what you could do with this.
Eliza thinks of Tilly.
But you've braced for this. You know this is happening. It doesn't take you by surprise. What are you doing with this sword?
First thing she's going to try is a brute force approach. And we've used this sword to cut into a gray so many times. It's worth trying again. So she just kind of slashes through it at the open air.
Nothing happens. There's no resonance. The sword doesn't bite into anything. The first time you try, there's nothing.
Okay. Every lock has a place where it lives. Locks have a key, but we don't have the key, so we pick it. Locks are placed on something you want to protect. It might just be that we're not in the proper area. Eliza gestures behind them to the very familiar river and gully.
Rain, can Chris roll inspect here?
Go right ahead. What are you looking for?
The gray. The edge of it. That is 9 on the dice plus 1 is 10.
Ooh.
Let me rephrase. Chris, I mean, she's looking for the edge of the gray, but what I, Skyland, am looking for is an answer to the question of whether we're in the right place.
You see footprints. You've seen these before. These are your footprints. You see them leading away from here the last time that the dark gray closed. But as you look around, you see one more set of footprints. These ones not leading away, but leading toward. And you can see the same set of prints leaving with you toward your car. But these ones heading toward where you are lead off in the direction of town. They seem to have been coming in this direction. You follow them for a few feet until they disappear, almost as if somebody had stepped out of the ether to appear here.
Eliza, as we get there, reaches out with the sword, and she places the edge of it above where those footprints stop, and she closes her eyes. She's done something like this before. It's been a little while, but not too long. She is feeling around with the sword for places where it has resistance, places where it actually is something there. she has a feeling that there's no rules for this except what she can make up, because this sword didn't even have any power a bit ago. This is all her power and her soul that's in this sword. And she is trying to use it to force their way into the gray. Rain, for the first time in 45 episodes, I would like to roll break and enter, which has been on my character sheet at a +1 this entire time.
Eliza,
Yeah?
to be able to pick a lock, to use a lockpick, you have to know the lock that you're picking. You can't just work it randomly.
Mm-hmm.
At least, hopefully.
Not outside of Skyrim. Got it.
So, tell me,
Mm-hmm.
what is the lock you are picking? What is the entry requirement for Hazel's Gray?
Now, I'm thinking back, and we've gotten into Hazel's Gray twice now, once accidentally and once on purpose. And when it was accidental, it was just that Chris was driving and wasn't thinking about where they were going. When it was on purpose, I think what it was, Chris was thinking about that their love for Hazel. And that was what happened both times. And I think that has to be it. It's that you can't get in there unless you're actively thinking about Hazel and how you love her and how you're trying to save her and help her. And Eliza, she gets a sense of this. Her eyes are still closed. And she's just thinking, we're going to help you. We're going to fix this. And she's got that +3 to friendship with Hazel. They're actually currently confidants. So I think that's what she's running on as she rolls the break and enter check.
You are incorrect.
All right.
You do not benefit from any kind of friendship, and you get hesitant on this roll.
Okay.
Please go ahead and roll.
Well, I rolled 5 and 5 natively, so that's a 10. +1 to break and enter, and hesitant cancel out. So that's a 10.
That'll do
Break, break and enter mattered!
it.
Finally! Y'all, it is December now. Well, okay, it is November now. I've been waiting since May to use that.
God. There is a moment of disorientation as you focus and you think about Hazel and how you're going to help her, how you're going to fix this. And the sword catches. And as you pull it, it's not so much a portal this time. It feels more like drawing a curtain aside. And you stare into a patch of the battlefield that you don't recognize. Trees climbing up into a field, climbing away toward the town, toward parts of town that you don't recognize. And in the distance, you can see spots of white and gold spreading across buildings. And as you look into this vista, a car pulls up outside the library and finds a parking spot. And I think that's where we will end this episode. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. Thank you to my players. I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good night. Thank you again for joining us on this adventure. With Conviction is a production of Silver Maiden Games. If you would like to play Conviction, check out the game at silvermaidengames.itch.io. Music for the intro and outro of this podcast is A Soul with Conviction by Doom Vega, who you can find on Bandcamp. Music within the episodes is by Rachel Rose Mitchell, who you can find on Bandcamp and Spotify. All rights to the music are retained by their original artist. Production and editing are done by myself and the With Conviction cast. Thank you all. This would not be what it is without you. You can find this podcast on Spotify and YouTube or silvermaidengames.wordpress.com. You can also find more about the game, podcast, and ways to contact us at silvermaidengames.wordpress.com.